Hello! Read it here. Today we're going to read a story from our /Entitle Parents. Now, for our first story. I do not care if you have cancer. My child deserves your seat. This encounter happened about 7 months ago. I do not want to insult your intelligence, because you most likely already know what EM and me stands for. But I should say that EK in this story stands for embarrassed kid, and OG stands for old gentleman, 60-some-year-old guy. The kid was very polite and sorry, so this story isn't about it. Also, I'm translating this into English, so bear with me. A little backstory. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with a cancer of the nasal cavity, stage 2. The tumor was quite large, but thankfully benign. Edit. People have pointed out I formulated this wrong. By benign, I wanted to shorten the fact it still did not spread into other tissue. Thus it was still contained, which is what I thought the word meant. I apologize for my gaps in knowledge. To get it removed, I first had to undergo aggressive chemotherapy to make it smaller. Thanks to the chemo, I had severe alopecia, hair loss, which made most of my hair and even eyebrows and eyelashes fall out. At some point I had to go bald, but I wore a wig because I didn't want to look like a skinhead. I'm 6 feet 4 inches and pretty muscular, so I thought people would assume. So once, after a long chemo session in the hospital, I took the bus home. There's only one bus that goes from the hospital to where I live, so I took that one only to see it was absolutely packed. I felt like shit thanks to the chemo, so I asked a middle-aged dude to let me sit. He was very understanding and gave me his spot without complaining. If you're reading this, thanks bro. 2 stops later, enter M, a lovely whale with an I demand a parley with the CO haircut and a 12-some-year-old kid. It took her roughly 5 seconds to see the bus was packed, start looking for a free seat, spot me, and start marching, or in her case, trying to fit in the aisle between the seats while shoving others aside. To me, when I saw her, I knew I was screwed. She then stood next to me and decided to talk to me. This is the conversation that followed. M. Hey, could you let my kid sit down? Me. You mean me? M. Who else? Me. Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm on my way from the hospital and M. Cutting me off, so are we. Nonsense. The stop was a few kilometers away from the hospital. My boy just broke his leg and we're coming straight from there. Her kid was standing next to her without any support, clearly embarrassed. He's standing next to you completely fine. M. Look here, boy. I'm 21 years old. My kid deserves to sit down. Look, madam, I'm sorry, but I just got back from a chemo session in the hospital, and I need to sit down and rest. I then moved my wig a bit to let her see my bald head. EM then straight up started yelling in my face. M. Stop making excuses and get off the fucking seat, you fucking skinhead piece of shit. Well, there goes my chance of getting monetized. At this point, I was baffled. I didn't know what to say. The kid was trying to make his mother stop, and we had the attention of the whole bus. She then grabbed me and tried to yank me from my seat. I held on tight and thankfully didn't fall off. Now, enter OG, my savior. OG, will you shut the F and hashtag K up you dumb cow? M, who do you think you're talking to? OG, with ice-cold voice, stop assaulting other passengers or I will be forced to step in. Also, every dumb moron could see that the dude has cancer. EM, you know, he's just AFN at hashtag ING skinhead. OG, he's got an O, eyebrows, you TWAT. Seems like that really offended EM, because she spun around on the spot and threw a falcon punch in OG's face. I was shocked and in disbelief. The whole bus was flabbergasted, and the kid probably wished he'd never been born. OG then said something unbelievable and a golden, sweet karma moment followed. OG, okay, that does it. Harassing passengers on the bus, physical assault against a passenger, and now assaulting an officer. You're in deep trouble, lady. OG then pulled out a badge and told her to stay where she was. Then he pulled out his phone, called someone and told her she was being arrested. I couldn't believe it. OG was a bloody cop. At this point, EM was as white as a wall. The bus had just come to a stop, so she decided she'd make a run for it, but other passengers blocked her way. She then also got charged with resisting arrest thanks to this. 3 stops later, a police car was waiting for the EM and EK. EK told me he was sorry for his mother's behavior, and I felt really sorry for the kid. He wasn't a bad child, but his mother was a hellspawn. OG then talked to me and asked me if I wanted to press charges, to which I gladly said yes. Took a statement, and thankfully was kind enough to let me solve everything on the phone. so I didn't have to come to the police station for questioning. In the end, EM got some jail time, I think it was a few months, and some community service. I, in return, got a good story to tell and the sweet taste of instant karma. Right now, I'm riding the same bus home as I just got back home from the hospital after a checkup, which reminded me of this. A friend who's sitting next to me told me I should post it here. He, as much as myself, also couldn't believe that such people existed, but it seems I proved it to him. I should also note that the surgery went well. I was declared cancer-free in November, and my hair is slowly returning. Also, I don't need to wear a wig anymore. Let's hear from the comment section. Comment 1. Congratulations on becoming cancer-free. Comment 2. Our society pushes this notion that anyone can have a kid. It's a free country. Do what you want, nobody can stop you. We glamorize having children without sitting back and saying, hey, maybe people should think before having kids and use protection to avoid surprise pregnancies so they aren't stuck with a conflict of emotion. Stories like this, as well as abusive parents, make me wish the government could somehow regulate/enforce who can have kids or provide some sort of educational course required for all parents before they're allowed to keep their kids. Of course, this inflicts on human rights, but at the same time, something needs to be done about abusive and or downright shitty parents. There's a famous murderer here in Canada, Paul Bernardo. He had a girlfriend, Carla, at the time. They both killed her own sister. She assisted with many murders, but got out of prison after maybe 10 years due to a plea deal. She now has her own kids. Mind you, probably under strict supervision from law enforcement and people in the community, but she's still raising children. She's killed people, yet is still allowed to have custody of her own kids. It's sick. Comment 3. I watched a documentary about them a couple of years ago. Paul Bernardo and Carla Hamalka. He wanted Carla's baby sister's virginity as a wedding present because Carla wasn't a virgin when they met. She agreed to it and drugged her little sister, 13 I think, so he could rape her. At the first try, she started to wake up after about a minute, so the next time Carla got something stronger, horse tranquilizer. She not only was present the entire time, but she helped plan and execute it twice, and then cover it up after it went baldy. The baby's sister started to vomit because of the drugs, and they proceeded to hold her upside down to clear her airways, something Carla learned to do while working with animals. I believe she worked at a veterinarian clinic. This isn't a good idea when it comes to humans, and the sister's airways got clogged and she suffocated. They got rid of the evidence, dressed her, and moved her to her bedroom before they called 911. So the killing was an accident, but considering it was an accident that occurred because they decided to drug the baby's sister so he could rape a virgin as compensation for Carla's lack of virginity, I actually think that makes it worse. IRC, they were suspected to be serial rapists looking in particular for young women/girls more likely to be virgins, that then became murderers as a way to cover up the evidence for the rapes. If you kill the victim, they can point you out or testify against you. It is not known how much Carla took part in the rapes. She tried to really downplay her involvement as much as possible and blame her husband. But she was definitely actively involved, key to them being able to lure their victims into a false sense of security so that they would come with them. I'm also pretty certain that she actively took part in the murdering. It is a especially famous crime because Carla claimed that she was abused by her husband and was an unwilling participant/accomplice. Basically, he forced me to do it. She was offered a plea deal with reduced sentence in exchange for testifying against Paul, something that was considered vital for a conviction against him. The deal caused massive outrage and was called Deal with the Devil, as more evidence surfaced shortly after, specifically videotapes of the crimes that proved that the abused, unwilling participant was far from the truth. Paul was convicted for the rape and murders of 2 girls besides Carla's sister, but there is suspicion that there are a lot more victims they are responsible for. Now, for our second story, I witnessed EM getting destroyed. I saw this today, and I can't stop laughing. I was traveling in my city metro. It wasn't that much crowded at that time, but all the seats were occupied. Still, you could freely stand without being humped by a stranger. There was this kid sitting in the reserved seats, the ones for people with handicaps, pregnant women, and old people, definitely not for moms of 2-year-olds. He was probably 14 or 15. He's the hero of the story here. Then at one stop, our EM comes in. She has this cute little child who is trying to keep up with his mom's pace. EM instantly sees our hero sitting at the reserved seat and just stares at him. I guess this was her way to make people automatically give away their seats or something. The kid didn't move though. This probably irked EM a lot, I guess, because she moved towards the kid with heavy steps. She comes near him, stop, and again does the stare. The kid doesn't budge. Then she starts screaming. If she didn't have the whole compartment's attention earlier, she had it now. She starts berating the kid for sitting in a reserved seat and not giving it for someone more deserving like a mother like herself with a young kid. What her logic was. The seats aren't reserved for them anyways. She just keeps shouting and screaming and tries to get others' opinion on it. And for a while people were on her side. Then the kid, out of nowhere, rolls right side of his jeans up and detaches the artificial leg and keeps it in front of EM. The look on her face was priceless. It looked like she was mortified and embarrassed at the same time. She just backed away silently and just got off on the next stop. I don't think that was her stop. Let's hear from the comment section. Comment 1. As someone who's disabled, that's the kind of shit I hate. Fuck people who are like that. Major props to the kid though, just silent destruction. Comment 2. I love this story, the kid in the story, and the fact that he pulled the ultimate move, but I hate the fact that Karen doesn't know she was wrong either way. If she learns from this to think her actions through, great. I'd hate for her to be twisted in her head to something like, that boy was so rude for not telling me earlier about his leg and embarrassing me. These kids are supposed to let mothers with young children sit. Comment 3. I work at 911, and many times people will call sputtering about some minor outrage and conclude with, and I have my kids with me. Why don't you lead with that, madam? I shall call the airstrike immediately. This shall not stand. Comment 4. And there are plenty of invisible disabilities that you couldn't just pull off your leg to show some entitled jackass. Someone sitting there might have fibromyalgia, a fused spine, sight insufficiency, not enough for a service dog or a cane, but still significant enough to affect what you were able to see, or any other number of things. Now, for our third story. EM wants me to stop treating my young adult children as adults. Obligatory, I'm on mobile. English is my first language. Feel free to point out any grammatical errors. So a little backstory is in order. I have 2 young adult children living at home, ages 18 and 19. They both work and go to college. I trust my kids. I trust their decision-making skills. When they graduated high school and turned 18, new rules went into place. No curfew. Just call me and let me know if you're going to be out all night, so I don't worry. You can call me at any time for a pickup, no questions asked. Just don't be stupid and drink and drive. Yes, you're so can sleep over or come over for the weekend. Just let me know what's going on. Pay a small rent during the summer when you are working full-time and pay your part of the car insurance. You have your chores, I have mine. We all work together. I tell them if they're being assholes, and they listen. In turn, I listen to them. There is very little fighting or arguing in my house. This is their time to spread their wings and learn how to be a responsible adult and have me as a safety net. Lately, one of my kids' SOs has been spending a lot of time over my house. He is here pretty much all the time. 2 days ago, I got a phone call from a number I didn't recognize, and I answered. It was my daughter's boyfriend's mother. Me, hello? You need to tell my kid he isn't allowed over your house anymore. Me? Who is this? EM. This is Tommy's mother. Me. I already know where this is going. OH. Tommy's mom. I have to say you have raised a great kid. He is always polite and respectful. In fact, look, I don't care what you think about my kid. He is never at home. He isn't spending any time with me. Me, okay? There isn't much I can do about that. EM. Yes, there is. Tell him he can't come over to your house anymore. I want him home. And you set a bad example for my son. Your daughter has no curfew, and I am sick and tired hearing how nice IT is at your house. I mysis him and want him home. Me speaking very lowly and basically growling into the phone. Are you done yelling at me? I think I stunned her into silence. Me. I will take that as a yes. Do you trust the way you raise your son? EM1. Me. It's a simple question. Do you trust the way you raise your son? M. Of course I do. What does that have to do with anything? Me. Do you trust him to make good decisions? Me. Yes. Yes, of course. She is starting to calm down now. Me. Mother to mother, I know things are not okay at your house right now. Her husband drinks a lot. I am trying to give your child a safe place when things are not okay at your house. She starts to cut me off at this point, but I won't let her. It's not your fault. Me. He throws your son out for days at a time. Sometimes, doesn't he? Yes. I can hear her choking back the tears. Me. Do you need someone to talk to? Would you want to go out to lunch? That way you can feel safer knowing whose house your son is at and that he is safe? That would be okay. We were on the phone for about an hour after that. What started out as an was just a scared woman feeling very, very alone. Sorry there wasn't any righteous retribution, but I think it turned out okay. I'm going to try and get 19-year-old Tommy's curfew changed from 10 p.m. to midnight, and maybe he can stay over for a weekend. Edit. This really blew up overnight. Thank you for the platinum, gold, and silver. I will try to respond to all the messages. Edit. For the people saying my post is bull, I had a lot of information as to what was going on at Tommy's house before that phone call, and frankly I have been through some of my own stuff with abusive relationships. It's a very hard road to be on. Let's hear from the comment section. Comment 1. Honestly, I hate how people wind up entitled people sometimes. Some things you read about is deserved, but others seem a bit cruel the way they egg them on aggressively, then peace out while the people in the entitled person's life deal with the fallout. Comment 2. You're the parent I aspire to be. My mother never let me out and threatened to kick me out at 18 whenever I tried to go anywhere. I bailed at 19 and made a lot of awful decisions and had no safety net. I learned life the hard way, and I'm still learning. I want my kids to feel safe, loved, and most importantly, free to make decisions and live their lives. You're amazing. Comment 3. You are the type of parent that saved me from a bad home and growing up as a fuck druggie. I had a friend who had a single dad like you and a boyfriend who had both parents like you. Having those safe places to go when my house got too scary was a lifesaver. Thank you for being that person. Comment 4. I don't really think this is entitlement. The mother was just scared of losing her son and so very alone. I feel bad for her. Now, for our 4th story. EK sexually assaults my daughter. Finds out the hard way she's been taught to take care of herself. So this is my 2nd story. Little background: I'm an Iraqi war vet, and I believe in teaching the women and girls in my life to defend themselves with impunity. So at the very young age of 4, I have been teaching my child to defend herself. Story time. I'm at work one day, and I get this call from my daughter's school. I go outside to answer the phone, and the convo goes like this. Cast me. Terminator P. Principal. P. Hello, Terminator. I need you to come pick up baby Terminator. Me. Can I ask what this is about? P. Yes, your child has been in a fight and needs to leave the school premise. Me. What do you mean she's been in a fight? What happened? I mean, she wouldn't just pick a fight. P. Well, from what we can tell, EK was running up behind her and grabbing her, but she apparently warned him to stop, and when he wouldn't, knocked him out cold. Me. So I'm confused what is happening to the boy then? P. Well, your daughter seems to be the aggressor, and we need her to leave, and she's going to be suspended. Now, my child at the time lived with my ex-wife, and I had heard from THRX that my kid was having an issue with this boy for a while now, and I knew my daughter had gone through many times telling on him to no resolve. I also knew that he had been told many times by teachers to stop and hadn't. We wait so nothing is going to happen to the boy who has been sexually assaulting my daughter for X amount of time? P. Well, Mr. Terminator, she did strike him once and knocked him out. She needs to learn violence is not the answer. She needed to bring it up to the attention of a teacher. Me? Okay, so what I am hearing is your school is saying it's okay to sexually assault a girl, and that the girl in question needs to just be a victim of assault over and over again, or be punished. Is that about the gist of it? Now I hear silence as the principal mulls over what I have just said. I can tell they're trying to justify this weak tea bullshit. I compose myself. Me. So Harry's what's gonna happen next. You can either punish both or punish none of them. Because I promise you the last thing you want is me and my dress A's and TV reporters showing up and blasting your whole school over this. Now I can understand that her punching this brat is unacceptable. But what I will not take, and neither will she is him, not being punished as well. Do I make myself clear? P. Silence. Me. Also, why are you calling me and not her mother? P. Well, Mr. Terminator, she told us to call you. Me. You listen to me and listen good. I swear to you and God, I will not put up with this. I demand a meeting with you, her teacher, and this boy's family. If I can't make it, my ex-wife will. If this isn't resolved to my liking, I will bring a holy hell upon this whole stick house you've built. Do you understand me? Pete? Yes, sir. Me good. Call my ex, let her know the time and date. We will coordinate from there. I hang up and call my ex. She agrees with me, and I go back to work. About a work week later, there is a meeting, but unfortunately I have work and my ex has to go in for me. From what I am told, this boy's family tries to play it off as boys will be boys and tries to get my daughter expelled. There are times when I remember why I married my ex, and this is one of them. She proceeds to tell them that the last thing any of them want is me to get more involved than I already have, and that if I have to, I will bring it all burning down. Every brick. Outcome was both were suspended for 4 days, and the boy moved to a different class. And I never got a call like that again. Moral of the story, my kid's a badass and got a cake for sticking up for herself, and a lot of love on both ends of me and my ex. Edit. Sorry for not being clear. She was 7.5 at the time of the incident. Edit 2. For those who don't believe me, that's fine. I have nothing to prove or answer for on Reddit of all places. Believe me or not. Call me names or don't. I didn't write this for upvotes, gold, or silver. I wanted to brag about my kid doing what I thought was the right thing. Let's hear from the comment section. Comment 1. Good on you both. I hate the boys will be boys phrase being used to justify terrible things. That's something you say when your son comes in covered in mud holding a jar of worms. That's not something you say when he's been copping a feel on an unwilling girl. Comment 2. At a wedding a few years ago, my 8-year-old cousin was collecting slugs on one of the outdoor tables. Some random family friend / Annie figure said she shouldn't because girls aren't supposed to touch dirty things. Guess who went home with a bag full of slugs? Comment 3. I agree. I think the girl in question should have only gotten a warning as it was a first-time offense, and the boy should have gotten more than 4 days suspension. IRL, the girl would be not guilty by means of self-defense. Comment 4. It's what happens when your school has a zero-tolerance policy. Zero tolerance equals 0 brains. I once was suspended for getting beat up because I was part of the altercation. I didn't lift a finger against anyone. It's a great way to teach kids that they may as well hit back if the consequences are the same. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to see more.